stand on Aboriginal land, I wish to pay my respects to the custodians of this land, the Gamilaroi people, and I pay my respects to their elders both past and present. Now, I do stand on Gamilaroi land, and today, the 26th of January, marks Australia Day, and for some it is known as Invasion Day. And this is a very difficult conversation going around Australia today. Hi, I'm Leah, and welcome to Hide and Seek, and welcome to some books on my very difficult conversations reading list. I'd definitely like to thank Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventure for the idea of having this reading project under my belt in 2018. For too long here in Australia, race relations has been something that happens in the United States in particular, and a little bit in the UK. But here in Australia, we are far from perfect. So what does a book lover go when they want to know more about our Indigenous culture, our Aboriginal culture, and how to be more understanding and sympathetic and to understand more? I go to the library, and here lies the fundamental problem I found. When I went looking in my library for books on Australian history, and in particular Aboriginal history, there was a wonderfully huge section of Australian history books going from Discovery by James Cook through to the First Fleet and colonisation, Federation, through to today. And there was an equally wonderful section of Aboriginal history books, but in a completely different part of the library. This automatically creates an us and them mentality, which automatically creates a divide we just don't need. So imagine if history that encompassed Discovery by James Cook, that included Aboriginal history from the Dreamtime forward, that included history on Aboriginal languages next to information on Federation, all intermingled together. Definitely identify the Aboriginal books with an Aboriginal flag so somebody can find them quickly, but don't separate the books. Why should the memoir of a wonderful Aboriginal Australian be relegated to the bottom shelf of the Indigenous Studies section when it could be front and centre with other memoirs in the memoir and biography section? Why put information on the urbanisation of Aboriginal communities in the Indigenous Studies section when it should be in the social science section where other cultural studies books go? Why make that separation? It actually angered me so much, I'm thinking of writing a letter to the library, so angry Leah. But here, let's move on to the books. I have 6 books or 6 groups of books I'd like to get to over the course of the next few months. I'm not even going to say one a month because some of them may be more challenging and hard-hitting and take a longer time to read than others. But they're books I'm very interested to read this year. First up, Am I Black Enough for You by Anita Heiss. And Anita is a Wiradjuri woman from central western New South Wales, where I am, about as west as I am, but a little bit further south than I am. She has an Aboriginal mother and a Dutch father, I believe, and she was often classified as being not Aboriginal enough because she didn't live in a mission, and she lived in town, she went to regular school, but then on the other hand she wasn't white enough either, and sort of straddling those stereotypes there. And this is very interesting. Now, Anita writes books from middle grade, young adult, all the way up through to very hard-hitting academic works. Now, this sits right smack bang in the middle, and I think it's a good introduction to her writings for me. I've heard her speak a number of times, both on the television and twice in person, I think, and she's a very compelling orator. I look forward to learning more in a way that I think I could pass this book on to other people after I've read it and say, here, read this, I think it's interesting. Now, the next book I want to talk about is one that actually isn't released yet. It's the new book by Stan Grant. I'll put a picture up here. Now, unfortunately, the release date seems to have been pushed back a little bit. Now, Stan Grant's Talking to My Country, which was published in 2016, was perhaps the most topical Indigenous book of the year when it was released. And he did speak at my son's school, and even have an autographed copy, so that's very exciting. He is a fantastic orator. Stan Grant is a journalist here in Australia known for his direct and hard-hitting style. He is very much an investigative journalist, and he can present quite complex ideas in succinct and easily to understood language, and I find him very compelling as a journalist. This book here talks about what it means to be Aboriginal in modern Australia and the responsibility that educated Aboriginal people have today to bring everybody else up with them. Don't try to be white, and that's not the right turn of phrase, but don't try to distance themselves from the Aboriginal community. They have to bring everyone else up with it. I'm looking forward to his new book because this was fantastic, and his new book would no doubt shape up to be equally compelling. This one I did mention in my essay each week project of one that I would very much like to sink my teeth into. Talking Up to the White Woman. Now this is at the intersection of racism and feminism, published in 2000. And I think this will be a rather compelling collection of essays, and I don't think one that will be an easy read. And often Aboriginal women are just put down or put aside as just angry Aboriginal women, and again it is that intersection of racism and feminism trying to compete and have a voice, and one that I think might actually be, for me as a feminist, one I think might be most difficult to read. I'll let you know how I go on that one. I'd also like to read not just on the Aboriginal history of Australia and the Aboriginal relations that we have going on and going forward. I'm also interested in the other hot topic here in Australia about asylum seekers and refugees, and they're not pretty stories either. There are two books here, and I think I'll pick one or the other, and I am leaning towards this one, A Country Too Far. Now this is a collection of writings edited by Tom Keneally, and it contains a mixture of poetry and short stories and memoir and non-fiction and essays, and I think news journal articles, and I think it will be a really good discussion on the many different points of view of asylum seekers and refugees. Now this one here, Not Quite Australian, is a much more academic text, and I'm not sure I will get through it. I might read bits and pieces of this. I think the emotional ties from this book will be much more compelling and wanting me to learn more. Supplement this with a bit more statistics and in-depth from Not Quite Australian, how temporary migration is changing the nation. Oh, this is going to be difficult as well. The second to last book I'd like to talk about is Black and Proud. Now, I did have the picture here. Black and Proud. Now this is an older book. It is available in my library. This is quite a famous photograph of Nicky Winmar, an Australian rules footballer. I'm going to see if I can get Australian rules footballer here. Now that's quite an iconic photo, and I do remember the game in which it was taken. Obviously lots of racial slurs were put towards Nicky Winmar, who was an exceptional footballer, and he just lifted his shirt and said, "Yes, I am black," and he did add the expletives at the end that he had been taunted with the whole game. And that book tells the story of how sport is supposed to be the great leveller and the great bridge to acceptance, and how it isn't always the case. Now there's another famous Australian Aboriginal footballer by the name of Adam Goodes, who also I would love to read his autobiography, and it's been pushed back a couple of times now. Adam Goodes is famous for calling out a young 12 or 13-year-old girl for calling him a black monkey from the sidelines at a football match, and how he dealt with that criticism and how he encouraged the young girl to understand what was wrong with making racial slurs like that, because she hadn't been taught any better. And so I wish that book would come out. He's a fantastic orator and a fantastic speaker and an engaging person, and I would love to read that book. There are a couple of honourable mentions that I'm not sure I'll get to. This one here, Germaine Greer, White Fella Jump Up. Now, I love Germaine Greer, but she's not a black person. She's not an Aboriginal person. She's a white woman like me. And I like her writing. And I think this will be a compelling book, The Shortest Way to Nationhood. But I don't think I want to read it because I want to read more own voices, and by reading this I'm perhaps denying an own voice's story. It seems interesting, it seems compelling, but I'm trying to find people who live their own honest truth, and this may not be what I'm looking for. Now this one, the cover might not be clear here. Convincing Ground, Learning to Fall in Love with Your Country by Bruce Pascoe. Now I would not have picked this one up, it doesn't really sound like one I would be interested in, except I read another book by Bruce Pascoe in 2017 and it was brilliant. He is an academic and an Aboriginal activist who talks particularly about the Aboriginal history with the land here in Australia, and for a non-fiction book on agriculture it was amazing and one that I really enjoyed last year. And so based purely on the writing and the enjoyment I had on the Dark Emu book, I'm going to see if I can try and get to this one here, Convincing Ground. So there are some difficult conversations to have. I don't mean to turn this channel into a social justice warrior channel, but it's very important that we have these conversations and to realise and acknowledge that race problems occur in everybody's backyard, including my own. So I will leave with a few pictures of the beautiful Gamilaroi land on which I stand. But thank you for watching and have a fabulous day.